Happy Monday, if I could get away with saying that. Today's uh, segment is about referring back to the politicians and all of us voting for a politician that has an actual plan. Oops, excuse me. That has an actual plan uh, for an aquaponic system, hydroponic system that enables us to keep as much water as we not only need, but what we would as much water as we would care for. Okay, someone with an actual aquaponic system plan, and preferably in detail as to how it's going to be made. And the reason why I say this is because of an article that I read last week. First off, my apologies for not being able to get to you. I usually try to do this every day that I can, but I just couldn't find anything until last week. This article said that Phillips 66 over in Houston was going to withdraw a proposal to build a water dam out of the Llano River, or as we say it in Spanish, Llano, because it's two L's. Two L's in Spanish is a Y enunciation. But anyway, but here in the English speaking Texas world, Llano River, yeah, the company has withdrawn itself, and that's because of all the surrounding counties that need the water coming out of the river. So they wound up doing all these petitions and strikes, and speaking their voices, letting their voice be heard, and all this good stuff, and it paid off. It paid off, really big time and everything. So Phillips 66 wound up withdrawing the water dam bill proposal. Now, the sole reason why any fuel industry wants water is obviously for fracking or something like that, something to that nature. Something where it uses water for whatever purpose it needs to extract oil or refine it or whatever into gasoline, refined fuel, and then dump the water out contaminated. And unfortunately, fuel industries have a huge habit in dumping contaminated water back into the river or lake that it came from. Okay. And that's just wrong. And it got me mad and it got me upset. And I, was just like, see, this is why they go through so much crap, and that why we should go electric and all this other stuff. And somewhere down the line, it wound up getting me back to thinking, well, why aren't politicians, thinking of aquaponic systems and hydroponic systems, as long as we're at it, why aren't they thinking of aquaponic systems to where, yeah, we're using the river water, but we're using a small portion of it to create more water. And there's half a dozen ways to do this. There's two off the top of my head concerning the irrigation, fish, and a little bit of water. And then there's another one concerning just using water producing plants or algae, and putting it in various parts of the river, to produce more water. And it's just such a sad thing that we can't have combinations of all of the above. Particularly something that might actually produce even more jobs and put our tax-paying dollars to use at the same time. I kept thinking about that. I'm thinking, why? And one of the main reasons why is because those that can actually do it will automatically say that it costs too much. It costs too much money. Then there are the ones that say that it costs too much money, but they know it doesn't, but they'll say it because we depend on buying it from them. And then there's just the plain non-believers, okay? Got all this evidence of climate change, all this evidence of man wasting our resources, digging up and wasting at the same time. And there's just deniers, that say, I don't believe it. I think it's a different political party. I think it's the sun. I think it's just nature. I think you should just let it happen. Industry is not nature. There's nothing natural about industry. Okay? Man has to control its rhythms, and all this good stuff to keep it natural. But all those stuff aside, let me go and jump off of my soapbox and stop preaching, and get back to the reason why I'm on this show, why I make this show to begin with. Is because I really think what I stated earlier, I think it was 2 months ago, we need to vote for a politician that has an actual water plan, an aquaponic system that they can put into place and maintain and keep, and give details on how it is to be kept and how it is to be maintained. Don't just say let's not just vote for somebody that says I want to put up a system, and not give any details. Well, we'll work it out as we go along. No. That's not good enough, because you might as well just say we have to go to the way of the Indians or something like that. The Indians were never wrong about this. Well, technically the Indians never wasted everything and never used it for industry. And even if they did, it's a small amount after the Europeans rather came around and showed them how to use it in the name of industry. Okay. And I say this because there's tons of tribes that a couple that I could name off my top of my head in Mesoamerica in particular, as well as Native America, where plumbing was actually used. Okay. So using the water and all that through an industrial method of some sort was, even if it's done naturally, through naturalization, but it's not something that we could just say, let's do it this way and that way. Technically, and I'll give you a prime example now that I'm thinking about it, because it doesn't make sense. Sorry, I'm drinking soda pop. It doesn't make sense the way that I'm trying to do it without trying to offend anybody or bring up a reason to counter. I'm trying to avoid any kind of counteractive subjects, but now that I'm thinking about it, I can't. 25 miles north of what we call Atlanta, that's in the state of Georgia, okay, where the Appalachians start to die down. You have two of the last Appalachian mountains in northern Georgia, okay. 25 miles north of Atlanta is a mining colony that was created by the Mesoamericans from the Mayan Empire. They used water from a spring that popped up at the top of the second smallest mountain, and that flowed down. They used the flowing water of that in order to colonize it. Okay, this was before the Seminole were ever around. This was before the Muskogee Indians were ever around, and all this good stuff. before any of them showed up during the Mayan Empire times, um, which I think was 1200 BC to I think 1100 AD. Um, that's a long time. That's a long time to be running the show. And in the Yucatan or Cancun or both, where their colonies were founded, they spread out um, as far out as Florida, where what we now call Lake Okeechobee, where we launched the NASA space shuttles. Okay, Mayans used to live there, and the reason why we know this is because when the conquistadors came, they heard about El Dorado, a city made of gold, and they went all along the Mexican Gulf of Mexico, all the way to where they came up to Florida, and they spoke with somebody that could, spoke a general language terms that of Nahuatl, Mexican, Mesoamerican, an earlier form known as Mayan. And when the conquistadors asked them, where did you originate from? Where's your leader? Where you're from? Those tribes around the Okeechobee area told them, well, in order to go where we came from, you'd have to get a boat, sail south by southwest to this place called Cancun. And it's there where we originated from. Now, we all know Cancun is in Mexico. So obviously, it's evident that the Mayans made it all the way to Florida. Now, proof that they made it all the way to Georgia, northern Georgia, 25 miles north of Atlanta, is blue rock that they had mined out of that mountain. That blue rock was broken down into a body paint that was used for ceremonies in Cancun, Mexico. And in Cancun, because the reason why everybody now knows this is because for the longest time, everybody was trying to find out where they dug up that blue rock. That blue rock or blue gold or whatever it was called back then, technically was dug up out of northern Georgia. Okay. And at that site where platforms, what we call courtyards now, pathways and all this stuff, had alongside them these water passages that were made. Water passages for water to flow through them, starting all the way up to the top of that mountain, the second smallest mountain, where the spring of clear, clean water was flowing out of. Okay, now it's all consumed by earth, but at some point, every now and then, some archaeological team gets to dig it up again, and you get to see a little bit more and more and more of this colonized settlement, and eventually more and more clues as to how they lived, plumbing being one of them. Which brings me back to this subject, where people say, we should go the way of the Indians and all this other. So, well, technically we already did. We're taking water out of that river or spring, and it's only hydrating a couple of houses or communities. It's not universal. It's not arranged to be more plentiful the way it would be if it was constructed, if a aquaponic system was constructed to produce more water that spring could provide. Okay. So for everybody to say, well, we shouldn't be doing that, we should just draw water from the well or draw water from the river and all this stuff like the way the Indians did. Well, the Indians didn't have communities the way we do now, so scratch that. But they did form an aquaponic system to where everybody did get water. And that's where we come right back to this day and age where, yeah, we've got a decent winter forming right now. But this just came after several years of drought. Okay, several years of messed up, contaminated water after a tornado hit or after a storm hit in certain parts of the U.S. You know, um, oil spills, tipped over trucks, all this good stuff, and more fracking. You know, we've got industry of a variety now messing up our water. What we need is an aquaponic system formed to where it's no longer a problem. And quite honestly, sorry, I thought somebody was pulling up. Quite honestly, I think if you're a gas company that's raking in billions per year, and when you're price gouging tens of billions per year, per quarter of a year, mind you, I'm still mad about that. When they're price gouging and all that, when you're doing all of that, you have enough money to create an aquaponic system a hell of a lot better, 10 times better, 100 times better than what any city form of aquaponic system can create. A city form of aquaponic system is something that only generalizes. A private sector business that makes billions of dollars a year can actually produce something hella badass. Okay? So there really is no excuse for it. The people that did the petitions and expressed themselves and told their local government to not accept this damn proposal, where they could take all the damn water that they want and sorry. Where there might be a damn tour guide. No, stop. And you can ask any damn question you want. Oh, okay. Technically, the opposers did the right thing. Because Phillips 66 or any other fuel company makes enough money. They make $1 billion a year, $2 billion a year, $3 billion a year. They can create their own aquaponics system. Okay, now my fellow coworker has come, so he's going to open up the shop, and it's time for me to go clock on. Yeah, we gotta look for the politician that'll come up with a system that'll benefit us. An aquaponics system. Because, we've got plenty of rain this year, but there's no guarantee that it's going to be coming next year. Okay? Thank you so much for hearing me out in my babbling and all this stuff. I had a script. I just lost it. All right, y'all take care. Y'all take it easy. This is Chris with Chris's Comments, signing out.